Today is Sunday, October the 2nd, 2016. And today I want to talk about the Donald Trump tax kerfuffle, the big much ado about nothing that has been perpetuated by the lamestream media, which ain't nothing at this point other than an extended version of the Clinton campaign. I mean, you seeing stuff from the Washington Post, from Mike, MIC, that liberal lefty website, all kind of random newspapers and publications talking about Trump hasn't paid taxes since 1995. And my thing, before I even get into it, these so-called publications are coming out with a tax form from the 90s. Who knows how they got it? Just one piece of information, which is just a snapshot of what Trump has to sign. Trump and his tax forms every year, it probably takes some hours just to go through each sheet of paper and sign it, let alone the whole process that goes behind it. But I'll get into that a little bit later. They're trying to take probably like one sheet of paper or a handful of sheets of paper, and they're trying to extrapolate from that his whole tax history from 1995 up until now. And then they're trying to say almost slanderous and libelous things against him. It said in the headlines, Donald Trump hasn't paid taxes in 20 years. But that's just false. I mean, the thing that they have is something that shows he has a net operating loss. So therefore, he has no federal income tax liability, which means he doesn't pay federal income tax. But that does not mean he has had that same thing all throughout the 20 years since that form came out. And it also does not mean that he does not pay any taxes at all, right? Because there's more taxes than the federal income tax. I mean, I'm nobody really. I'm just a guy in a very small apartment, right? I'm a guy in a 900 square foot apartment just trying to do flyers and YouTube videos, right? But look at what I got to pay. You got to pay personal property tax, self-employment tax, federal income tax, state income tax, taxes associated with your business license, all kinds of stuff you got to pay just for being a regular person. Now, imagine somebody like Donald Trump, all taxes they got to pay from having stocks and bonds, from having real estate, from having all kind of businesses, everything you got to pay. I mean, just look at it here. If he does not pay federal income tax, okay, that's one thing I'll get to a little bit later. But what about state tax? Your city tax, excise tax, capital gains tax, payroll tax for his employees he has, personal property tax, stormwater, all kind of taxes you got to pay beyond the federal income tax. Matter of fact, I've seen this statement that I think was released by his campaign that lists all of the actual taxes he has to pay. And I'll place that on the screen before you, and I'll also place it in the box below. Right. He pays a lot of taxes. And not only does he pay a lot of taxes, he contributes to the economy in a way that the average person would not be able to do by being able to develop real estate. He's providing jobs in construction, jobs and all kind of things that are associated with an actual building going up, the continuation of business, buying and selling stocks, like all of that contributes to an economy growing. The federal income tax is just one tax of many that the government a lot of times just spends improperly. Like I said before in a previous video, it was a federal employee who was accused. Well, actually, he did it, but he spent, I think, 6 figures on making his office look like Downton Abbey on decoration fees, right? They spent $1 trillion on a jet that can't even really fly when it rains. Stupid stuff. So when you're talking about federal income tax, I mean, that's just one tax of many. And a lot of times it gets wasted. Donald Trump is saying, hey, I know the tax code and I'll be able to come in there and spend the money properly. Right. And these publications are just trying to get clicks and likes. I mean, think about it. You think that an average person, a regular Joe, just somebody like me, could go on one of these sites, Huffington Post, Washington Post, New York Times. Matter of fact, New York Times is hypocritical. They want to run a story written by some guy probably in his basement who probably can't even afford to get himself a cup of coffee or a decent shirt, talking about, oh, well, this is all that we know. You don't know anything. All you have is one sheet of paper. And the New York Times is hypocritical because they didn't pay any federal income tax themselves in 2014, as revealed by Breitbart. And I'll place that article in the box below. So you got your employees doing your dirty work. Meanwhile, you as an actual corporation, the actual business, you're doing exactly what your employee is accusing Trump of doing. This is obvious, just clickbait stuff here, because the employee has no idea what's going on. You as a business, the New York Times, the boardroom, y'all know exactly what's going on, but you guys are not going to be down there in the mud doing these little dumb stories trying to get clickbait on people that don't know any better. Right? Do you think that anybody in the New York Times, their employees, can know anything about Trump if they don't even know what's going on with their own actual employer? Be for real. You found a form from 95. You don't think that the IRS would know more than what you know? And Trump has said that he's been audited for the past 15 years. I believe him. And he probably has his lawyers and accountants, probably them high level New York Jews, not being anti-Semitic or whatever. I'm just saying that Jews in New York with the money are, you can't really, they're rock solid. That's the best you can get. That's the best. If you got them on your side, you're good. And shout out to my man on Facebook. I forget your name, but I probably shout you out right here. He was telling me about this program called the CAP. That's the Compliance Assurance Process, where the IRS, they'll probably go to Trump Tower and set up an office there and work hand in hand with Trump's people, with his accountants, lawyers, etc., to make sure that he complies with all the complex tax code that he's going to face. Because you got so many businesses, it's easy for you to kind of have something slip through the cracks and not get accounted for with this complex tax code. But then when you got the IRS probably in Trump Tower working with your accountants and lawyers, everything is all good. You're rock solid. That whole process right there, the average just random guy, who probably can't even afford to drive to the New York Times to work. He probably has to telecommute from home and write these little stupid articles. He has no idea about any of that or that whole process. He's just writing stories, just trying to get clickbait on people that don't have that much information and people that just don't like Donald Trump in general. That's all that is. Talking about he doesn't pay taxes. What they won't say is that Trump is a tax evader, because that's when you get into libel and slander, and you can't do that. At least the bosses at New York Times, Washington Post, etc., they know to tell their employees, don't do anything libelous because we don't want to get sued.
Are you expecting legal action?
I don't know. I don't think it's a crime to check your mailbox, and that's what we did. And then we did some reporting. So, but we definitely, they told us that they may sue, and we are comfortable with the story and went ahead with it.
Are you sitting on more documents?
We're doing a lot of reporting around this, so we're going to keep going.
That's a yes. You have more documents besides the 3.
That may be a no comment.
A no comment. And who do you think sent the documents? The return address was Trump Tower. That doesn't mean they definitely came from Trump Tower, does it?
No, it doesn't, obviously. They could have come from any number of sources.
Do you know who?
Again, I'm going to no comment that one.
If the actual bosses of New York Times were to sit down and write these articles, I think they would be worded a lot differently because they understand the way the law works. People are saying that Trump is somehow immoral for not paying taxes. They've been talking like them for not paying federal income tax because he is not obligated to according to the law. They say that it's somehow immoral. I'm like, where is the morality section on your tax form? There is no morality section. You follow the law and that's it. The government says, okay, here are the laws, follow the laws. And people are upset because he's following the law. It doesn't make any sense. Everybody should follow the law. It doesn't matter who you are. Everybody wants to have write-offs and everything else. Everybody wants to pay as little as possible in income tax and other taxes as they can. Why would you voluntarily give money to the government? That makes no sense. The government is not a charity. The government is here really to serve our purposes, and serving us does not mean taking the max amount of money you can from us to spend on making your office look like Downton Abbey or spending on unnecessary pieces of war machinery that doesn't even really work. If you want to be a philanthropist, if you think that someone like Trump should be a philanthropist, then he has a Trump Foundation that he actually gives money to charity, unlike the Clinton Crime Foundation, where they go and become like economic hitmen in certain countries, just like what they did with the Uranium One deal, where they sold Vladimir Putin 20% of the United States uranium supply. And then Clinton wants to go on stage and talk about how bad of a guy that Vladimir Putin is. But you're the one that gave him 20% a United States uranium supply from your so-called foundation. Don't you see what's going on here? And we've also heard audio of Hillary Clinton calling Bernie Sanders voters, supporters, etc. basement dwellers. So now, okay, if you're black, you're a super predator. If you are a Trump supporter, you're deplorable. If you're a Bernie supporter, you're a basement dweller, right? Don't you see what's going on? She can get on stage and talk every kind of way she wants to you and then still expect you to come out and vote for her. This is why Trump is continuing to win. The mainstream media is still on her side. I watched Fox News Sunday this morning, and they were talking about how Hillary Clinton got a bump after the debate, and she's actually in the lead in the polls. How is that even possible? All this negative news that comes out about her every single day. There's such a groundswell support for Trump and so much hate towards Hillary. I don't understand how she can be winning at all. I think the mainstream media wants her to win. They want to do whatever they can to get her elected because they got certain bosses that they have to reply back to. But the people know what's really going on. And I think this whole tax kerfuffle is much ado about nothing. And it shows how incompetent the mainstream media and also how biased the mainstream media is. So what do you think? Do you think that Trump is somehow incorrect or wrong for following the law? Where have we come in society where a person who follows the law and does what the law tells him to do is somehow in the wrong, but then rioters who want to go out there, rape, burn, loot, and pillage their own cities and other cities across the nation are somehow revered as heroes? I don't understand. How can you be an abject lawbreaker, hurting people, killing people, and be looked at as someone that is to be looked up to as a pillar of virtue, but a person who follows the law to the T and does everything by the book with accountants, lawyers, etc., probably working in hand with the IRS to make sure everything is on the up and up, who wants a pay cut to be able to come and help bring that same philosophy he's had for himself, make himself successful to the rest of us? How is he somehow in the wrong? I don't understand. This is the bizarre world that we live in right now in 2016 in America, when everything is backwards, where right is wrong and good is evil. It doesn't make any sense. But do you think I'm correct? Do you think I'm correct in my assertion about the whole tax kerfuffle? The brouhaha about his taxes is nothing. He pays a lot of other taxes, all kind of expenses. He contributes to the economy in a way that the average person could never even dream of. Millions of dollars every year he puts back into the economy in various ways, from the real estate, construction, development, the electricians, carpenters, plumbers, etc. that he will employ to bring up a new building, the constant maintenance that has to happen, security guards, all that kind of stuff, just from the real estate alone, and also from his business ventures, right? All these things that he's involved with that help bring money into the economy, plus all the other taxes that he pays. I want to drive that point home as I close. He pays more than the federal income tax. There's more taxes than the federal income tax, excise tax, personal property tax, state tax, local tax, stormwater tax, capital gains tax, all kind of taxes you got to pay. Beyond the taxes, he also has charitable foundations and businesses. So what else is he supposed to do? Just donate money to the federal government? That makes no sense. You donate money to charities, which he has done. So that's pretty much all I got for it. Whatever your comments are, let me know in the comments below. And that's all I got to say for this video. If you like what you heard, please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.